Yo, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about why you're a lazy piece of shit. Kinda. In all seriousness, this comes from a conversation that I had recently with a friend and really is a constant conversation that I'm having with myself, especially this past month. We are exploring the reason why you are not achieving your goals, why you haven't started XYZ, why you haven't succeeded at XYZ, and so on and so forth. Just to preface, obviously, this will not apply to everybody. Everybody has different positions and comes from different backgrounds and has different lives. But I do think that this will apply to many people around my age, if not much younger, because I'm turning into a fossil. So 3 main points and some examples to go with them. This is going to be very free-flowing, so please forgive me if there's some rambling like this right now. Let's move on. Tip number 1, kind of fused with reason number 1, is you need to be more objective with yourself. And by that, I mean calling yourself out. If you're being lazy, you're being lazy. If you're not motivated, you're not motivated. If you're burnt out, you're burnt out. And the common pitfall that I'm seeing is that there's a lot of emotion infused with these statements. Like, you're lazy, oh, I suck, I can't get anything done, I can't get anything right, I'm not consistent, blah, blah, blah. And it becomes this self-deprecating, berating process and cycle of nothingness. The second you switch that language into an objective observation, however, then you begin to come up with objective plans of action. I'm lazy. How do you solve that? You just do things. You can't, there is no solution, there's no motivational poster or speaker that is going to get you to not be lazy. That's something very internal and dependent on yourself. Calling yourself out and taking note and knowing that you're lazy gets rid of other excuses. So you're not distracting your mind with, oh, I have to solve this thing, I have to solve this thing. You see, oh, I'm being lazy. What do I have to do? I have to just get started. I have to take that first step, or I just got to do it. It's a matter of doing and not so much about problem solving all these imaginary problems that might not necessarily be important or relevant at all. Another observation you might make is you're scared. You're scared of criticism, you're scared of hate, you're scared of putting yourself out there and being vulnerable. Totally valid. Again, you just observe that, you notice that. How can you deal with that? What do you do then? Obviously, the answer is not going to be paralyzed by it and just sit on it and wait for it to go away, because it probably won't unless you're being active. How can you be active? You find compromises. There are tons of Korean vlog channels that are based on text and imagery. They don't show their face, they don't speak, they're very hidden. So in my mind, theoretically, that's a very easy way to insert yourself into the online space without being too vulnerable, without giving too much things that are open to criticism. And let's say you still get criticism, then I feel like it's easier to detach that as work or things that you're making and detach that from yourself. So that perceived distance from what you're making and putting online and yourself, there's a bit of insulation from any kind of negativity that may come towards you, which might be less scary. The other logical answer to this might be being desensitized to it by continuously conditioning yourself and opening yourself up little by little, posting stuff here and there. I don't know. Either way, this approach means the only way to get over your fear is to continuously put yourself out there. And the answer is then to get started and start posting and get shit on. And third observation I might point out is you're either bored or you're entitled. Bored in the sense that a lot of things just require consistency over a long period of time, a period of time that many of us might not be used to now in this world of instant gratification. So for example, maybe something takes a year to complete realistically, but around the 6-month mark, sorry, I'm really caffeinated, holy shit. By month 6 though, you start to question, is my approach right? Why am I doing this? I'm not seeing results. You might just be hitting that point of boredom and looking for problems and looking for solutions when you don't really require any of that. You just gotta keep going. And I guess that kind of intertwines with entitlement. Do you really deserve to have success with just 6 months of input? Does it really matter that somebody else gets famous overnight over some weird viral video? Again, another objective observation there is, what does you criticizing that do? What does that lead to? Does that actually lead to anything being done in your journey? Have you taken a further step by criticizing X, Y, and Z? Clearly the answer is no. It doesn't affect you in any sort of way, shape, or form, and you spending your energy and time there doesn't translate to you making any sort of progress. And just to reiterate, just because you made 20 videos, just because you made 100 videos, just because you put in 80 hours a week into your freelance business does not necessarily mean that you have to have found success. Second possible reason or tip or whatever you want to call it is lowering the barrier to entry. A lot of creatives, at least in my immediate vicinity and the people that I've met, talk a lot about their ideas. They have very grandiose ideas. I've done this too, where you spend all your energy just stuck in this ideation phase, which is great. Things require ideas, sure, and things require planning. That's why in a previous video, I really stressed pre-production. But the thing is, the more time and energy you spend in this phase, the less energy or the more time you need to take to rest for the actual work to be done. you're spending so much of your mental space and everything just getting all these pieces, making sure everything's gonna run perfectly, that you never even make it to the point of starting. And I think what often leads to this is this need to embellish your idea and to sell your idea. A lot of us, for some odd reason, seek validation for an idea from all of our peers before we even get started, because we don't know how it's going to be well received. And sure, that makes sense, you want to do blah blah, but does everything require that? Do you really need to be 100% sure that this is going to work before you try it? Because people might be wrong, you might be wrong, right? And if you enjoy what you want to do, or you think you might enjoy it, why not try it out anyways? Just get started. Stop. And the second you stop, I feel like ideas also become smaller, because when we try to embellish and when we try to sell, we add layers and layers and layers, and that might just lead to too many moving parts, things that are out of your control, or people that you need to depend on. And we all know that depending on other people to make your vision come true without paying them or anything like that, or if you're paying them little, it's not going to work out. Nobody is going to be dedicated to that project as much as you are. So if you can make the scale of that project smaller, make it so that it can be done by yourself. Great example right now, this is a camera. My mic is always set up and ready to go. I have a cheap $40 light just bouncing off of whatever, and I'm mainly lit by my computer monitor. Very simple. Sit down, press record, and just rant. So I guess to reiterate and organize this, make things very easy to do to get started, because once you get started, then you can start slowly adding things on and implementing other things, because most likely you'll know the timing and you'll know exactly why you need to change something and add stuff on and make things bigger, scale up, whatever you want to call it. You actually know why you need to do it, which will motivate you more and just make more sense to do, and so on and so forth. Which actually ties into the next point of learning by action and not looking for answers. But before we go there, let's curb your expectations as well. So again, just using YouTube as an example, because I feel like it's the easiest to understand. You put in all this effort and time, blah, 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 into a video or into multiple videos, and your expectations are, okay, one of them is gonna go viral, or one of them is gonna get me right up to 10,000 subscribers by month number 2, number 3, blah, blah, blah. You get all these expectations. Just curb those expectations, or just don't have expectations, at least in the starting phase. For me, in my personal channel, I uploaded videos very frequently because I did the low barrier to entry approach and just whatever. But the main thing is I had zero expectations. I still have zero expectations. I only create for fun, and it's just been very freeing and very easy to do, because it doesn't matter if it performs well. What matters is, do I enjoy it? Am I getting the benefit of creating from that? There's something about having very low expectations that is freeing and enabling. So returning to that previous point, learning by action, stop seeking answers. Sure, we have Google, we have networks, we have all these things that are immensely just great resources. Wow, my vocabulary just died. We have all these things that are amazing resources and very powerful tools. But the very common consensus is that it has inhibited us from trying to learn through experience and by ourselves. The thing is, there's only so many times you can watch a YouTube video about a camera before you really just need to go and test it yourself and use it in your use case scenario. Same thing with how much should I charge for a client? There's no better answer than to charge something and see what happens. Do you name a price and you get shut down by the client? Oh, now you know, maybe that's a little bit too high for this particular type of client. Maybe you charge double and they're like, oh, that's cheap. Okay, cool. Now you know, okay, there's a certain level of expectation. Because the thing is, it depends on industry, it depends on the type of project, the scope of the project, and depends on where you are in the world. There's just only so much speculation that a person can do, and only so much information that you can get before trying it out, and you might realize that none of it applied to you in your particular scenario. Also, something even as simple as a camera feature in the menu. Where is it in the menu? Go through the menu, learn the menu, look at everything on the menu and see, oh, my camera has this type of feature, my camera has this type of feature, I didn't know that. Learn as much as you can just by doing, because again, there's muscle memory, there's learning, there's a lot of good things going on. And at the end of the day, I think it becomes a habit to learn by doing, rather than spending so much time researching up front. You start to just dive into things more easily, an easier way into learning about something new, rather than trying to research everything and seek validation and everything that was mentioned up front, earlier in this video. Oh, but that isn't to say stop asking questions, of course, because the thing is, once you start doing things and you're learning things, you'll run into very specific problems that you might not know or have the answers to. Was that proper grammar? For example, let's say you're running into a specific error, or let's say that your workflow has some flaws or whatever, then you begin to know what your needs are, what are the actual answers you need, what do you actually need to hear. And the more specific your question becomes, the more easy it is for somebody to answer your question, because they know you're approaching it from this type of mentality and that you have these needs and you have these wants. Well, it's a more informed question, which can get a more informative answer in return. But finally, just wrap up and thank you if you've made it this far. You knew all of this already and you know what to do. So there really is no reason for a lot of us to not begin to pursue the many things we want to pursue. Get started, make something, go. Anyways, that's it for me, using my hands a lot today. As always, thank you for your time. Hope you're healthy, be well, stay safe. The world is crazy. Bye.